I'd like to welcome everybody to the November edition of the Tips and Tricks SIG. We're going to have a lot of things to talk about tonight, and maybe not. I don't know. We'll see how this group pans out. To start off, I know that Bob really is itching to tell us about something he's discovered. So, Bob, please take the road.
Well, actually, this is a continuation of what was going on last week when I came to you on my other computer
Okay.
in Westside. I That's because this computer was tied up with something in Linux, but this is related to things that happen in Windows as well. When you have new large external hard drives, say more than 4 TB, no matter how you slice and dice the partitioning, they will take time to initialize in any operating system. Now, what does initializing mean? It means from a practical point of view, you try to put data onto those external drives, you're backing up a large amount of data, and it slows to a crawl. It just will not move the data. Even Terracopy won't move the data.
Wow.
Now, in Windows, we know one thing you can turn off to lessen this issue: indexing. Indexing is used mostly for search in Windows, but it's also used to orient the operating system as to where everything is. It orients the file manager, in the case of Windows, File Explorer. Some Linux distros have a much more severe problem with this sort of thing than Windows, and there are many technical reasons for this. The other thing that happens in a large data transfer is if the operating system or your app, such as Terracopy, is trying to fool you into believing that it can outpace the bandwidth that actually exists between your computer and your external drive, it is doing so usually by creating placeholders, which are sometimes called symlinks. In Linux, rsync is famous for doing this. And what happens is there's just a marker that's created on the external drive, and it marks where in that file system everything's supposed to go. Later on in the background, it's supposed to happen in the background, the data will backfill. And so you can't unplug that drive until the process is truly complete. And you'll usually get a pop-up message saying all transfers are now complete. I don't know if Terracopy does have that kind of delay, but in Windows, File Explorer will often tell you, I'm still writing to this drive. Please don't unplug it if you try to get rid of it in safely remove. And what's happening is either indexing is going on, or you just formatted it with a quick format and the rest of the file system details on the external drive are backfilling, or it's either indexing, or it is backfilling the place markers, or it is backfilling details of the file system. All three of these things also happen in Linux. In Ubuntu, they have something called Tracker, which handles indexing, and you don't have that on by default. In Ubuntu, you have something called Zeitgeist, which does not do indexing, but it orients the file manager as to where everything is, especially in a large and complex file system, file structure. So what I was trying to do was copy my entire home directory, which is a very complex and large file system, file structure. And it was on basically virgin hard drives. They'd been used one time by Linux and once by Windows. So everything was still trying to do all these background processes. How do I know? I have widgets and gadgets which show me drive activity and processes. The processes would escalate, the drive activity would go, and even after the transfer was supposed to be complete, there was still activity on the drive and in the partitions. And the activity was very regular, but low level, which means it had to be doing either file system backfilling and or indexing. I like indexing once it's complete because it can make seek times very much faster. You can find things a lot faster, especially on huge hard drives or in complex file systems. So I left these drives in an idle condition, although they were still very active, and I could hear them being active. I could feel them being active. I could see the activity lights on them. And after maybe 2, 4, 8 hours, all three of these drives finally quieted down. Now, if I unplug those drives, shut down the machine, and go into a different Linux system, or into my different Windows installation, or even go to a different computer, which has either Windows or the same Linux distro, what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to be slow again? No, because it's the indexing and all this other backfilling stuff is already on the drives. This does not happen inside the operating system. The writing part of it is written to the drives. So, anybody questions, comments, or related experience?
One thing that, at least on the Windows side of things only, it doesn't work on Linux that I know of. There's another search utility called Everything, and it's extremely popular. There's a lot of people who think Microsoft should replace their built-in search feature with Everything. And I've used it quite a bit. The bad part is it gives you tons of files that are bits and pieces of the application that you're probably looking for. So you have to look through the list, and depending on what you're searching for, that list can get extremely long. And so finding what you want can be a little bit of a headache. But I use both features, but on most of my systems, I do turn the indexing off. But most of my drives are most of them are under a terabyte. I have very few terabyte drives, and recently I got a 2 terabyte drive I haven't installed yet, but they're all solid state except for a modest number of old spinning hard drives I use as secondary storage.
Tim, what was the name of that program, that application you were?
Everything.
Everything. Okay.
And there are also applications called Ransack, and Linux has 2 or 3 of them that nobody here will know what they are.
Everything is made by Void Tools. I
Yes.
didn't make that up. VOIDTOOLS.
All right. One of the things I wanted to show on the screen here was how somebody would go about turning on or checking to see if their indexing is on. So what you would do is you'd go find your drive. You go to My PC and look for the drive letter, and then go to Properties. And you may notice mine is pretty close to full.
Yeah, you need to offload some stuff.
Yeah.
I just went through that.
Yeah. Unluckily, I collect a lot of photos, and it takes time for me to go through all these photos. So, and that's what fills up my drive is photos and videos, and then I shuffle them off to my server and get rid of the space. Back to what I was talking about.
Yeah.
When you pull up the drive properties at the very bottom on the left, and I'm assuming this is what Bob is referring to.
Yes.
There's a little checkbox here that says allow files on this drive to have context index.
I believe that is checked off by default in Windows 10 and 11.
It is. By default, it's checked off. I will, and so this is what you would do if it's not checked. You would check that if it, and then click OK, and the system will go ahead and index the drive over time. If it's already checked, you have nothing to worry about. So that's
for most people, if they have an SSD as the boot device, you can turn indexing off on that drive.
Yeah, on any system SSD, you should, because indexing can be rough on SSDs. SSDs are very fast seeking, and I wouldn't use indexing on them. However, my backup drives, as one might guess, are very large spinning platter drives. So what you're saying, Sanford, applies to those drives very well.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I will point out that the reason mine is turned on is this is the way it came from the factory. This particular laptop is running Windows Home. However, Lenovo incorporated some enterprise features in here, meaning they put BitLocker on my C drive. And in order for me to turn off the indexing, I got to play around with BitLocker.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess up anything. I left it alone for the hit. There is a hit by having the indexing turned on an SSD, and it's not speed. The hit is actually space because the indexing gobbles up some space on the hard drive itself. So if you're running into situations like I am, where I'm running low on space and it's an SSD, I could turn it off. But in my case, I'm leaving it alone because I don't want to mess around with the BitLocker part of it.
Well, indexing also gives you a hit on the reads and writes that are limited on SSDs. So it increases that, which decreases the life of the SSD.
Yeah, and very well could. It's not something I am at all worried about because when the SSD goes, it's going to go. they just they just go, and when they don't give you a head up warning all the time.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I wanted to make sure these drives were intact and that the file systems were intact, and I checked all of that.
Right.
All was good. So it wasn't a problem with the file systems. I've
Bob,
had that problem before.
to reflect on what you were actually doing, I had the same experience on multiple machines, specifically when I wanted to copy the content of a very large folder or series of folders from my server onto a hard drive to back it up. I couldn't do it at the server. It kept airing out, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me why it was happening. And so I'd have to move the drive to a different machine, a Windows machine. Then I was able to copy and do entire copy from one drive, from the server drive across the network to the drive. I don't know why the server had a problem with it, but I have seen this problem come up before when you are copying a very, very large amount of indexed files or folders to a external hard drive. It can just go, it just explodes and stops and says, I'm not doing this. I don't know.
Yeah, in Windows, I've had that happen, but not recently. The reason is modern Windows can take advantage of more system resources.
Yes.
And we have more resources to throw at it. I have 16 gig of memory. If your drive is SMR, which almost all large external drives are, then it has its own caching and buffering. However, it has the disadvantage that being shingled, the tracks are adjacent to each other, and there's a greater chance of data corruption. However, consumer products are all SMR. It's only enterprise drives that are used in these server farms that are CMR with the tracks fully separated and no caching. But in any event, yes, I hear what you say about that. But what I was going to emphasize is if I plug these drives into a Windows installation on another computer, the process does not need to happen all over again. And so I can immediately use them at full speed. And I found this to be the case also with Linux, as long as it's a similar distro.
And that's because the index resides on the drive itself and not on the host machine.
In NTFS, it would be written partly into the file system, partly into the metadata or the ADS, alternative data stream. In Linux X file systems, I believe it's written entirely into the drive, which of course means the impact is going to be more severe on a virgin drive.
Anyone else want to comment on this subject? On the subject, the tangent subject of external drives, I noticed that Costco is now selling 14 terabyte external Seagate drives.
Wow.
Yeah, I got the 8 terabyte.
Yeah, I actually have several of those 8 terabytes.
Yeah, I've got 3.
And they're not big enough. So I need
Yeah.
I need one of these 14 terabyte drives. So.
Well, Sanford, when you try to collect all the videos and all the audio recordings ever made in the history of humanity, you'll find yourself running out of external storage
Yes,
space.
yes. And all that is residing on my server already. All the
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have a lot of photos, that'll happen too.
Yeah. I have a lot of photos, a lot of videos. I also happen to convert most of my video library, that is movie library, to digital and put it on my server. That I'm going to slowly start weaning down because you don't watch those movies often enough. But I was trying to make, at least for one thing, I could make personal backup copies of all my movies in case something happened to them. These days with streaming, the argument of why have buy movies anymore, Best Buy announced they were going to be stop selling Blu-rays and DVDs after this Christmas season, holiday season.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a streaming service remove something that you already thought you owned?
Oh God, they do it all the time.
That's why you need to own.
Exactly. All the time. All the time. And they'll decide, well, they'll decide they're going to just remove, season 1 of something, or they'll have season 1 and 2, but not season 3 and 4. Because whatever, they play these games, and it happens probably daily that they're removing stuff.
Yeah, some of that removing random seasons or random episodes is based on viewer algorithms. How many viewers?
Right. They have their algorithms and there's reasons for doing it, but they do it, which is the justification for wanting to own a physical copy. Yeah. Because if you own a physical copy of it, it's yours, and you can watch it as many times as you want. Versus if somebody like Disney decides they're no longer going to have something on there, they're going to knock it out, they'll take it off, and you're out. Pete, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I've got a question to the group right here.
Okay.
Issues. The dropped out like 6 times since I've joined and reconnected.
Tonight you're talking about?
Yes.
Tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. How up to date is your Zoom?
I don't know. I know it was up to date when we did the Linux Zoom meeting. I haven't played around with this one for a while.
Well, it should be 5.16.6.
5.16.6.
And Tim, how do we find that?
That's all you gotta do is in a browser, go to zoom.us /download #client, and it'll be right there.
Okay, but how do you verify what version you have?
Oh, just click on Zoom. Now, since he's on, what he has to do is minimize his Zoom screen and get anything else out of the way, and Zoom will be up and running, and right at the bottom of it is the version number. A second way of doing it is go to the controls of Zoom, like the video camera, there's a little up character on the right side. You click that and you select the video settings. And when that comes up, look down the left side for statistics. When you click that, at the bottom on the right, it'll tell you a version number. And I have 5.16.6. So those are two ways of telling you what version of Zoom you're running on. And I'm sure there's quite a few other ways of doing it, but at least those are the two most common and likely to be used.
The other thing, Pete, if you go to Zoom settings, statistics, in other words, go to the up caret by your down, send and receive. See whether you've got limited bandwidth.
Full screen, speaker, gallery view, that's not.
No, and you'll start by going to video settings, and that'll get you to the settings.
Okay, got it.
And on that settings page, third from the bottom on mine is statistics. And you can read bandwidth as one of the statistics.
Yeah, that's
send and receive.
Under the graphic.
Okay, so I got the right version because it also shows the version there.
Okay. And
it's 142 kilobytes out and 885 kilobytes in.
So you think that's good?
But offhand, you got to understand, especially starting with 5.16, they are adding so many features so frequently, it's consuming great amounts of horsepower in your system, and starting with the memory. So you got to have a minimum of things running when you're using Zoom. Right now, I have a browser with one tab, I have Zoom running, and I have OBS running, and nothing else. Because if I try and open up more programs, I start becoming very choppy, slow, start freezing up, and I can blank out completely.
Mine shows it's only 1% of CPU that it's consuming, that Zoom's consuming.
Consuming 17% of mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your overall what's the overall
He just
CPU
popped out
usage?
again.
Yeah. He's got a lot of stuff
Pete's
running.
got problems, and it could be locally. I don't know. He might have to reboot his machine or something.
Well, I'm going between 11 and about 25% CPU usage on all 4 cores of my CPU just for Zoom. And overall, I'm going as high as about 48 to 50.
Wow.
Memory.
My overall is 3%, and on Zoom it's only 1%, and I've got 10 cores.
Well, overall, my memory, which is 16 gigs, Zoom is taking 489 megabytes. Overall is
I just you for 15 seconds.
Is 4.78 gigabytes.
Wow.
Used
All right. Did I hear Pete? Pete, you're back. Have you tried Pete? Have you tried to reboot your PC?
It's freshly booted today.
Okay.
It's the Linux box.
If you get kicked out again out of this session, just reboot your machine and try coming back in. All right. Okay, so
You know, the thing is, it's really windy here, and it may be that, you know, I don't know what's going on in the Middle East and it's Ukraine, and that tends to use our bandwidth from the across the ocean from the military.
oh, probably.
Wow.
Some problems you don't have that we do here in paradise.
You're lucky. That's the caveat of living where you live.
And you know, there are paradise taxes, and it's just not in dollars.
Hmm.
It also includes time, and the shipping costs are really high. And there are some things you just have to do a lot of runarounds to get out here.
Bamper?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
but you got the other balance.
Since I think we got done with Bob Premick's comment, and we probably can't help Pete much, but I've got two announcements. Number one, this is the second Tuesday of the month. Therefore, Windows updates got output. If Peter, there's an outside chance that in background it's downloading those updates to your system, and that slows you down because it's sucking up resources. The second thing I have, this is kind of like an advanced announcement. Ed Keating's Northwest Computer Club normally does not meet in December, which would be December the 21st. So make a note. I will be probably sending out some kind of an announcement between the end of November, beginning of December, and to the effect that that meeting will be canceled. I have not decided what to do on Linux as yet.
So Tim, I'm on the Linux box here. So it's not the Windows updates that are doing it.
Okay, that's fine.
So
Still,
I do see that I do have 4 updates available, but they don't load them until you actually click it, right?
yeah, they'll just sit there until you say go ahead and update.
And then I assume Northwest Suburban this month is going to look like it's a week early because of the calendar.
In all probability, correct.
Be Northwest for November will be this Thursday instead of the following Thursday.
Which is unfortunate for me because I have an in-person meeting I have to do that evening. I'll just catch the video. And I send Ed a little email note asking for the handout. Either way, I think I'm covered.
You are covered.
Thank you, everyone, for keeping up the YouTube channel so that I could do that.
That is, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know, that is the wonders of what we have going on is we have that YouTube channel that we record. We try to record every meeting and post it on YouTube. So they are all available. The links are in your emails that are sent out. So please, if you have not done so, please check the YouTube videos and catch up on those issues or meetings that you might have missed, or the parts that you kind of like need a refresher on. There's a lot of good stuff out there on our YouTube channel. And
you should subscribe to it.
I'm sorry?
You should subscribe to
You
it.
should, if you are not, you should subscribe to it. It's on YouTube. It is free. This is all free. It's all the recording of this. It's all part of CCS, and having access to it is free. It's open to everybody to be able to see this. So there's definitely a benefit here.
I'm getting paid for recording this stuff.
I'm glad you're getting paid for it. Because I sure am not. But that's okay.
Tim's getting paid in aggravation and misery.
Okay,
That's exactly how I'm being paid for all the volunteer work I do, including the physical labor.
right.
But the reward is I get to plant trees in whose shade I will not sit.
Okay, we would also like to, we could also go into our open forum session. That is, anyone have any issues or problems with their computers that they would like help with tonight?
Well, I thought we got done with that when Bob got done. And
That was Bob's issues, not everybody
Yeah,
else's.
it was an issue which I wanted to report how it got sorted out.
And thank you, Bob, for doing that. Anybody else have any issues computer related that they would like us to discuss or handle tonight, or go through or figure out? Okay, that's a good one. So we've got none of that. So I sent out a list of topics for us to go through tonight. And one of the first ones I have on my list, and I'm hoping this will play. So I'm going to go ahead and do a shared screen if I can. Let's do this. Share screen. Come on, shared screen. And which one? Oh, it's this one. Now, hopefully this will work. Come on. Okay, I pulled this from some other show that was on, and this is a YouTube video that someone posted. The guy is talking about these stickers that he had bought online on Amazon, and you can get them from the company direct. And I put the URL name on our thing. It's let me see, the name of the URL is shortcutstickers.com. And since many of us use Windows and we all forget our shortcuts, this company creates little labels that you could put on your computer to have access to the shortcuts. And they give you lots of them. So this is just a brief discussion about these stickers.
What are we looking at?
Are you seeing this video? First thing.
No,
Not
No,
seeing or
no.
hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Seeing, my bad.
An episode 1957 Gen Whiz.
Yes. Okay, but you're not seeing any video?
no,
You have
No.
to change your share.
Okay, let me change that. I thought I had it so it was sharing correctly. I'll do this share instead.
make sure you go to the options and have for sound.
Yeah, sound and video.
Please tell
Sound
me,
and video.
where do I find that?
Up at the top, more options.
More. Got it.
Drop down list, it'll
Share sound. Got it. Okay. Are you seeing a video now of a guy pointing to a sticker?
Well,
Yeah, we're
got-
seeing a frame. We're
Okay.
seeing a frame.
You are seeing the frame. Okay, let me rewind that a bit and start this. Oh, you don't want that.
Here we go.
there it goes.
Okay, I don't want to be in. I don't want to step on any copyright infringement there.
Keep up the great work. I just wanted to share this video of this new product I got, which I think a lot of people would benefit. In this day and age, a lot of people are using laptops a lot more than they used to when I got into computers in the 90s. So sometimes we forget the shortcut keys for our operating system. Wouldn't it be nice, instead of having to do a Google search, to just to look down over to our left or our right to look it up? Well, this kind of resolves that issue on most of the shortcut keys that we're looking for either Mac or Windows. These are stickers. I saw it on Amazon. I thought it was a really cool idea. I bought a 10-pack, and it's Mac OS shortcuts, and it's a vinyl sticker, so it shouldn't leave any residue, but do this at your own risk. After years, after having it for years stuck on your laptop, there might be some residue left over, but it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be a vinyl sticker, which you should be able to stick on and off with no issues whatsoever. So this is the Mac shortcut version, and this is the Windows shortcut label, description, information that you may need in a pinch. And this one is the Word version and Excel version.
Oh.
Using Word. Now, these are two separate items. The actual products are on Amazon, and I bought a Mac version. This is one set, 10 of these, and a Windows version with Word. It added 2 stickers. This was around $10 for a 10-pack. This was around $16 because they give you an extra sticker. So it comes out to $1.60 or something per sticker. This is like $1, I don't know, $5 per sticker. Anyway, let me show you how they look on my laptop and my wife's laptop. This is my laptop, the Alienware laptop that I have, and I stuck the sticker here, the Windows one, the Word one. So easy reference when I need to look up a quick shortcut. Instead of doing the Google search, I just look over to my left for the Windows shortcut. If I need it for Word or Excel, I look to my right.
That's nice.
This is my wife's 2012 MacBook, 13-inch MacBook laptop, and this is a clear one. They come in different background colors: black, bold, lettering, white background, see-through, or black, like the one you just saw on my laptop. So this is the Mac version. I thought this was the best one for her. It's clear see-through, so the gray comes out and the black stands out. When she needs to find a shortcut key, she just types along, looks to her left, and there it is. I hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching. Keep up the great work, Chad and Dick.
Okay, so that is an excerpt that I took from a program called GizWiz. They show all kinds of cool gimmicks and cool products that come out. They come out at a video every week, and they're a spin-off from Dick. What is it? Was it Dick DiPartolo? I can't say his name. It's not a spin-off. He's actually was a retired Mad magazine writer who's in the show. So it throws a little comedic spin on it. But anyways, I found this video, and I thought this would be interesting to show to the group if anyone was interested in that product. And that's shortcutsticker.com. All right, on the list, I had other products. I had other items that we could discuss. Is anything there of interest that we'd like to discuss tonight? I think we lost Pete again.
Well, related to what I've been dealing with, how to fix too many background processes running on your Windows PC.
Okay. Well, let's see what that one was. How to fix too many background processes. Let me open it. Continue without disabling.
What I think Pete needs is that Starlink service. I saw one of their launches in the western sky over my pond that I live above.
Was it pretty? Oh, you got to see the launch itself go up?
The deployment.
You had to see so you saw them all in a row?
I saw the initial flash, and then as they strung out like a string of pearls.
It is the first time I got to see that. I didn't know what it was. I thought we were under an alien invasion or something like that. It was just the most mind-boggling thing to see. Again, this I saw about 5+ years ago when he was doing his initial launches. And I look up at the sky and I see this train of satellites, and they're evenly spaced. And it's just so mind-boggling to see that. We're used to seeing stars. Occasionally see the ISS or other satellites, but to see a whole train of them, and it must have been 100 of them that went by. You probably saw the same thing.
Yeah, very bright.
Very bright.
because they're very close to the Earth at the time they're deployed.
Yeah, and if you happen to see them close to sunset or shortly after sunset, you'll get
That's what it was.
and
That's
you'll
when
get
it was.
the sun off of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and then they drifted out over the Atlantic.
Sanford, just a tip, a reminder, you can take that article there, go up to the URL line, right side, it looks like a document, and read mode.
Yeah,
It's
reader mode.
All right, I did that and it took out the pictures.
Yeah, but you probably don't need the pictures that much.
Do we really need to see those pictures? I mean, yes, they want to sell their ads, but that's only for you, Sanford.
Well, yeah, you're right. For me. All right. So what are they saying here? On most of the processes, disabling back.
The important part is background processes you should never kill
Yeah.
because they'll crash your computer.
Big deal. You're already having that problem.
Well, Pete didn't have a computer crash. He had an internet issue, I think.
Right.
But anyway, so you have to there's a little checkbox that says that prevents you from seeing and disabling Windows system processes.
Okay. So how to manually kill? I think what we got to do is bring up Task Manager.
Yeah.
And so they tell you how to do that. Control Shift Escape or WinX.
Mhm.
Or you can just type in Windows. You can type Task Manager and it'll pop up. And this will show a list of the processes that are physically running. And then what you would do is you would find a task that you want to eliminate, highlight it, and then right click and choose end task. Or you could click on the bottom, I guess, where it says end task, and you could kill the process.
And by default, these tasks are ranked according to how much CPU usage they have, followed by RAM, followed by other system stuff.
Thanks, Bob. You can also leave it running, but you can disable it too. Anyone want to give a reason for disabling a product, something?
If you don't want to actually shut it down, they're talking about startups. If you don't want to remove it from the startups, which is your other option, you will want to just simply put a disable on it and see what effect it has.
Right. Okay. I glanced over that one. So I'll scroll back up. These are the processes under process category.
Yeah.
What's actually running.
Those are the ones those are the ones you can kill.
Correct. If you find that you may have problems that are continuing to show up, you could go over to the startup tab that's further over to the right. And then that is where you would find and identify those tasks that are starting up when you turn on your machine. And you could disable those one at a time and test your system and see if that might be giving you your slowdown. Some things, like your Realtek audio shouldn't be giving you a problem, but Microsoft OneDrive could be gobbling up a lot of resources, especially if you're not using OneDrive.
Yeah, if your account is not set up to save to OneDrive, I think Burt Good usually sets up his account so they will save to OneDrive.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, if you're saving locally, then that process can go.
Now, that's not quite true on 11. 11 wants OneDrive, and it is actively doing copies of your files up to the OneDrive, And it acts almost like a backup in that sense. But there is a way of turning that off. But most
Yeah.
people don't do that.
You could,
I,
is it something you could do just like in this process here?
no, you would actually, I think you have to make a registry change. And I have turned it off, and I use local accounts and local storage. And I decide when I need to put something into temporary backup storage on, usually it's an external SSD, which is always attached. And then later on, I'll back it up to something that doesn't stay attached.
So OneDrive in Windows 11 is turned on by default, and Microsoft has made it very difficult to disable it.
Yeah.
Yes.
They also want you to set up your account as a Microsoft account, which means it's always your login is in the cloud.
Okay.
Right. And the thing is with 11, if you keep it local account, it should not have an impact with OneDrive on that system. You don't have to play Mickey Mouse games, but you also don't have some other enhancements and other options available to you by not being attached to Microsoft. So it's kind of like a two-edged sword. OneDrive wants to hog up a lot of resources. And I'll tell you right now, you're looking at startup here, and OneDrive is in there usually, but sometimes it doesn't always show there. And worse yet, there is the scheduled tasks. Scheduled tasks are automated scripts that at a certain day or time, etc., will activate and do something that you normally don't see.
I don't see this scheduled tasks up here.
You're not going to, not with that tool,
Well, then why are we talking about it?
because it's affects your performance also.
But I can't turn it off through Task Manager, can I?
Not through Task Manager, you have to use a different utility.
Okay, well, right now we're working on Task Manager and the stuff that we can remove there. And so I wanted to focus in on this, what this discussion is about, what's on the display here. About removing third-party processes. You could disable them under performance. Although these ones that are COM apps, what are those? You'd have to open up the service to see what it is, correct?
It's usually COM is for communications.
Right. So apparently you can, if you want to dig into what the property is, to startup, disable, apply, hit. I don't know much about COM plus system applications. I've never had to dabble in any, try to do those. I always just left them alone.
Right.
So the majority, how to free up system resources. And this is through the run command. You bring up services, the services tab through msconfig. And I see you could turn off some of the Microsoft services, but you want to leave most of them running, correct?
Well, all that does in the bottom left red square, it will hide the Microsoft services. Most of them you do need for your system to run properly. What would be left showing are non-Microsoft services that are also running. In this case, one of the prominent ones there are Dell services that are running. And those you can individually turn off, disable all of what you see, or enable all of what you see. Yeah, turn off system monitors. System monitors will suck up a good deal of resources, keeping track of what's going on in your system. Usually used to try and find some cause for some problem you're having. But when you're done with it, it should always be shut off.
I don't know if this article really helps anybody that's got problems with background processes, other than showing you how to get in the task manager to turn them off, or
Yeah.
to
This
turn
is
off, disable some of the stuff on startup.
what this here is showing you is the 11 Windows 11 way of turning off background processes. It changed dramatically between 10 and 11. Privacy and security is where you would turn off either individually or all running background processes. In 11, you don't have that all or individual ones. It's only individual ones. And you have to, every time you turn off one, it goes back to the beginning of the list. So if you're turning off, say, some kind of a network service, you're way down the list, and it'll go back to the top if you turn that off. Then you got to go back down to get below the network services for the remaining services, etc. So it
Recording in
becomes
progress.
I'll
on,
make it.
on one of the apps that it's talking about there. Whether you've got a regular computer, a smartphone, or tablet, the best thing you can do is learn what applications are automatically installed on your system. Anything you are certain you will never use, uninstall it, because otherwise some of them are actually running in background and sucking up some of your CPU and memory processes, slowing you down.
Okay. Does anyone else want to discuss background processes?
It's a big topic. It's very complex.
I do have one system monitor app which has a little window inside of it that shows how many processes are active in real time or close to real time. And if you want to monitor that and you have the resources to do so, then you can see when there are more processes starting to operate and when the number of processes starts to taper down. Interestingly enough, in large data transfers in modern Windows, this also happens in Linux, the number of processes will increase dramatically as the transfer starts, and then it'll decrease as the transfer finishes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more than one process involved in transferring data now.
You said you use a specific app to show that?
I have a gadget.
Well, tell
I
us
have
what the
gadgets
gadget.
for everything.
Tell us.
There are system monitor gadgets that exist for both Windows and for Linux. In Linux, you can still put them on your desktop, but in Windows, they kind of got deprecated for security reasons.
Uh-huh.
So the most recent one I was using in Windows, let me see if I still have it. On this computer, I doubt that I have it because I never installed it. But there was one that required, where are we? There was one that required installing Core Temp, and it showed all kinds of things, including processes that were running.
I used to use Temp a long time ago.
Yeah, these were sidebar gadgets that had been
Right.
revived. That may carry some security risks, so plan accordingly, but it can be done even in Windows 11. That's the one that has the best heads-up display that I know of.
I liked Core Temp. That was a good application.
Yeah, and these other gadgets sort of pile onto what Core Temp can do, and they will show CPU, disk, and I think they show processes. I don't know if you have any way of doing that same sort of thing that draws directly on the task manager or the performance monitor in Windows. It would be nice if there was something that did that. And if it would just sit sort of in the corner by your system tray.
Sure.
What I can say is that in Linux, there's a very beautiful one that just makes a sidebar.
And that's a subject to be brought up at the Linux SIG.
Obviously.
If you want to know more about it, join the Linux SIG.
And this will be one more reason why you probably should be using Linux.
That's another reason to be using Linux, especially if you don't like what they're doing in Windows 11.
The one that I really hate is that Edge never shuts down. It's always running in the background. To some extent, Chrome does that too.
I shut both of them down. I shut down the background processes, but there are reasons for leaving it up for some people. So you got to understand and analyze what kind of a user you are on the computer. If you were in business, you probably want to keep that running in background. All it takes out when you do a close is the user interface, but it gives you almost instant access again the next time you need to have the browser up and access something, an online account, or do a search, whatever the case may be. But for, I would say, the majority of home users, that's a feature that can be turned off so they're not running in background, consuming memory that other applications may want and need.
Yeah, in my case, it's the time I notice it is when I go to clean the system. The cleaners will always say, "Oh, Edge is running, shut it down."
Yes.
But they can close Edge themselves.
Yes, but I just turn off. You go into the settings system on the left column.
Yeah.
And usually the first button, turn it off, and the second is for hardware acceleration if it's available.
Yeah.
That one on.
Hardware acceleration, as long as it doesn't keep the process running in the background, is actually usually a good thing in browsers.
Yes.
Firefox seems to handle these things differently.
Yes, it does. But you also have a lot of clones of Firefox, but nothing like for Chrome and Chromium. There you got everything under the sun.
This is true.
Okay, so we move on to the next subject.
Yeah.
Well, my Linux box just died, and I have my other machine is the Windows box.
Yeah, but you came back.
Wait, we're seeing two of you now.
Yes,
I decided I would shoot to see if.
Okay.
I can't turn off the microphone on the Linux box, and it came back. That's why we're.
All right, well, we're getting an echo here.
Yeah,
Just-
you got to turn off the speaker too.
Okay, let me turn off.
You might be able to
speaker
turn it off
on-
in Zoom.
So I'm talking out on the Windows box, but I'm listening on the Linux box now
All right.
because the Windows box has got external speakers and it's easier to shut them off.
Yeah, but I think you're getting a little background noise because having two machines and splitting the service like that, it doesn't get canceled out like on one.
I'm going to go into mute in a second.
Okay.
I was doing this to see if it was the network coming into me or if it was the machine.
Okay. All right. We'll let you mute it because we're getting that terrible echo going on here. Unless you want us to talk about something particular on our list. Then you got to chime up and let us know. Okay, on the list is many things to choose from. Is anything pick anybody's fancy here?
How about what is the auto advanced feature in Gmail and how to use it?
Okay, let me find this one. Advanced features in Gmail. Getting there. Okay, and let's go to this guy, get rid of the pictures. Save a lot of time and how to enable and use it. So they're talking about your inbox being stuffed with all kinds of good stuff in there, especially for Black Friday coming up. So you can steps to enable auto advanced features from the web. So from your inbox, you go to settings, which is the gear icon. And I guess you do this, where's this? You do this on, I'm trying to figure out where are you doing this?
You're in Gmail.
They're in Gmail.
It's their interface.
I see. Click on the advanced tab, enable the radio button. So let's see, how do I do this? Let me do
Well,
that.
first you have to open up Gmail.
First, I got to open up Gmail. Okay.
That means we get to see your password as you type it in. No, that's already open.
That's already open. So you can see good stuff in here. Tim sending me stuff, CCS.
Yeah. Okay. And the idea is wherever you're at, instead of going back up to the top, it brings you to the next email.
So I go to the settings. I go to the little thing there. And what else did it tell me to do? I can't read in two things at once. So advanced tab, see all settings, advanced tab, select the enable radio button across from advanced.
In other words, auto advance will be.
And what did it say next to do?
Advanced.
Hold on. Advanced. Where do they tell you advanced?
Third from the right.
Way up at the top.
You got your cursor pretty much on it.
Ah, there it is. Thank you. Zoom kind of clutters up my desktop here.
Yeah. Now, auto advance you could enable. Currently, it's disabled.
Ah, okay. So keep doing that. Enable.
It's just a radio button.
And then
it's just the radio
change.
button.
Right. I wanted to see what does it do?
If you're doing an email and you move it or delete it, instead of coming back up to the very first email in your inbox, it'll come up to the next one sequentially, either earlier or later.
I see.
And it sorts along the parameter of date and time, I believe.
Okay. So we go, I keep doing that. Go back over here. And then I enable the auto Advanced
Yeah.
templates.
I would stay away from the others because you don't need them yet. And if there is a save, save changes after
And
it
right at the bottom.
below
Okay.
Now it should do this for you.
Did all these procedures here. It sounds pretty easy.
And that basically means you don't lose your place in your reading just because you moved something. Because without it, you'll completely lose your place and be right back at the top.
Okay.
And if you get like about several hundred emails in a day, then you know what the problem is.
Sure.
A couple of them down from that article is how to trace emails back to their source IP address, and right below it, 5 red flags to identify phishing websites. This is the time of year you really got to watch for phishing.
Yes. Let's see. Open hyperlink. How to trace an email back to its source. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do. Okay, so how does it say we got to do this? Well, tracing. Okay, so the discussion is, first thing is, why is it we'd want to trace an email back to its source? And what they're stating here is you'll get an unsolicited email from somebody you don't know. And you're not sure if, or it's somebody that you wonder, is it legit or non-legit? That is, it came from a bank, possibly a bank that you banked at. But give me a second, my mind somewhere else. But you're not sure it's your bank.
What was that?
It's me disconnecting something. Yeah,
You were leaving the meeting.
yeah, no. Sorry, that was me disconnecting my phone back from the computer. It was backing up. So where I was at. So you got an email from somebody and you're not sure, is it a scam or is it real or legit? This would be one way to double check and see that it actually come from who it should be from. So what are they telling you to do here? By looking at the full email header, it might contain the information about the routing, the metadata, information you don't really care about, but information might be vital to tracing email. Most emails don't display the full header as standard, but you need to know what to look for. So I guess we'll have to pull up an email and walk through this. Outlook email, Apple email, bear with me and try to see what this, I was talking about the different type of clients that you use. Oh boy, in Gmail. Make use of.
Yeah, in Yahoo, it's a little different because they say show raw message. But it's the same effect. It'll show you every detail, whether you want to see it or not.
So if I put an email, bear with me.
It'll show you what kind of authentication there was.
So we go to an email, and let's say this one, and
click on your Chicago Computing Society.
Click on the logo.
Yeah.
All right. And then
open detailed view.
Open detail view. Thank you for helping me with this.
Mhm. And what I'm seeing, among other things, is received from with an IP address. And it says that it ends in .sys.comcast.net.
Where are you seeing this info?
On the right side.
On the lower
Yahoo.
right?
Yeah, Yahoo displays it, and Gmail will do just about the same thing
Right.
because the header is exactly the same no matter what email service it is. Although it will show different things about authentication.
So we've got I see this. I'm not seeing what I see the phone number. I see the address. Where's the other information you were picking up from it? Is it in the lower right?
Where are you?
I
We are not seeing a screen showing additional information.
Okay. Maybe this isn't coming up right. Could be operator error.
Oh.
So bear with me a moment.
I can certainly show you what it looks like when you do the same thing in Yahoo.
Go ahead. Why don't you do it on there?
Okay. Let me just share my whole screen. Let me get this guy up. Are you seeing it? A whole bunch of stuff on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And if I could magnify it, it would say received from up here with an IP address. And
Yeah.
it says something about a machine readable thing at syscomcast.net. And it's by and another IP address, which would be the sending SMTP. And it says exactly when it was sent and received from, and then it gives details on the server. And there's a DKIM signature, which is security. And it's received from, and it names the computer. And the client did not present a certificate. And Tom has his hand raised.
How large is this?
How large?
I cannot read what you're looking at. I see a very small picture.
Well, let me see if I can do a
I'm seeing the whole
magnifier.
screen though myself.
I see the
I
whole thing.
Yeah.
So, Tom, I think you got a problem, but I could be wrong.
How about that? Just a minute.
Go to the left, scroll to the left a little.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. How would I scroll right and left? Oh, just
There
use
you
my
go.
mouse. Okay, so let's go scrolling upstream.
Tom, can you see that
and
now?
move my magnifier.
I don't see anything now. I had to pull up my picture so I could put my hand up, but
Am I sharing something that is visible?
It's
Yes.
visible. It's visible to Sanford.
oh, you guys can see it fine. I don't even see that right now. I just see one person on the screen.
You don't see my shared screen?
I do. I moved around a little bit. Now I see it, and it's very small.
That's on your computer.
It's just my
Yeah.
computer. Okay.
Yeah, it's where you're viewing everybody. So you must be viewing one person at a time instead of everybody.
Right now, that's what it's doing. It's showing me one person, and the little screen is above that person. It's tiny.
Wait a minute. Do you see a screen that looks like a bunch of letters on white?
I see. Yeah, I see a text with a white background.
Yeah. Now, right, that square that you're seeing in the array, in the upper right, there should be 3 dots, a hamburger icon, and when you click on that, there should be the word pin. And if you can hit the word pin, let me know if you can. That should allow you to see it.
I hit something, and now I see you. It's the only thing on the screen.
Then you're not seeing my screen share. I don't know
That'll
why.
work.
It has to do with view. Usually in the upper right-hand corner, you should see the word view with a little icon in front of the word view. You click that and it gives you a standard side-by-side speaker or side-by-side gallery. And most people would prefer to have gallery versus the speaker view, unless you're in a webinar.
Okay, now I have it.
There you go. He was in speaker view
Okay.
or one of
So
the other views.
are you able to see what looks like a pretty big screen now?
Yes, now I see it. Thank you for getting me into it.
There we go, Tom. Anything for you. I now
Thank you.
received, it says received from and where it came from by whatever the sending mechanism was, and the originating IP address. This is the thing we're trying to find. And it says a domain of Comcast, etc. And it designates whatever it is. Authentication results. It's using Atlas. There's a signature, which is this great big string.
Could you just scroll up back up to the IP addresses again?
Sure.
So there's two IP addresses that are shown there, the receive from and then
Yeah.
the originating IP. Which is the one that's important to us?
Originating IP is what you're looking for.
All right. So that would the receive from is
Received from is an internal thing that Yahoo has used.
right. Okay. So
Uh,
like emails are bounced from server to server. This is the last server to send it to you.
Yeah, because if it's 127.0.0.1, that's basically my web browser.
Okay.
Whereas 96.103.146.53 is going to be the originating IP address.
Yeah.
And
So
it will say it's a domain of Comcast.net, which is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
And there's something about a Yahoo authentication thing called DMARC and various things like that. There's also a Ymail ISG. That's a security signature, which an expert would be able to verify. Now, received from, and that IP address matches the originating IP address. It's exactly the same.
So that would
Down
tell
here.
you it wasn't bounced around.
It isn't spoofed. It isn't bounced as far
Okay.
as Yahoo can tell. And it was received by, and that's how the internal server received it. That's where it came into the system. And again, received from something ALP, something sys, Comcast, net. Again, the IP address, but this is a little different because this is some internal address within the Comcast servers. Then received from desktop, etc. That's the computer name and the MAC the IPv6 address. It's using IPv6, and it says which TLS version it uses, etc. Okay, and then you get the details of who it apparently was from, and who it went out to, and various references, and there's a reply to, and there is a subject, which we can read, and the date, and there's a message ID, which probably won't tell you too much. And then there's all kinds of MIME information. And the mailer was out, Microsoft Outlook. And there was some kind of an antivirus used, I think, on the outbound message, which was Avast, and it found it clean. And then it goes on to the actual message. So let me get out of my magnifier and let me get out of my screen share. That's what it looks like. Gmail will show you similar things.
Very good job, Bob. Thank you.
So you can do some forensics. And that's very useful if you think it might be a phishing attempt. I'll tell you where a lot of phishing attempts look like they're coming from. They're either something .xyz or some kind of a foreign thing, or They look like a Microsoft Azure account. Those get hijacked on a regular basis.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen some emails come in and they look legit. Let's say it'll be Microsoft.com, but then it'll say .co or .uk or dot blah, some other
Yep,
country designator after the .com. And
that will happen.
that's a definitely big clue or flag right there that this is not legit if it comes from another country code.
So this is all about expanding the header so that you can see all this information.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone have any comments on this? Anyone used this feature before?
Is there a way to block this if it's a spam from somebody?
Every email service has a way of doing that.
Do you do it in an IP address or what?
You know, blocking each one of these isn't going to do you a particle of good. The reason is they'll come up with a new one and another one and another one and another one, and they can come up with it at machine rates, which means they can come up with one every 10 nanoseconds at the slowest. And that basically means you can't block all these. You don't have the ability to block that many that fast. So that's why you need to learn how to recognize the signs, the red flags. And the article should have something about red flags, or the next article.
Let's see. 5 flags. We'll make sure to see what that looks like. Okay, so how do you know if it's a what is a phishing website? It's a fake online destination built to resemble a real one. That would be like Microsoft or your bank. Banks are better ones. So they purposely can infiltrate a good site and put, how do they do that? Oh, they purposely infiltrate a genuine website to turn them into places where they're no longer reliable. So they'll put a malware on there or steal payment information. Well, that's not good.
You gotta understand, there are tons of websites out there that are not professionally maintained and monitored by whoever owns that website. A good example that I know has been a problem in the past is a church. There's a lot of people that go to church sites for various things that like what's coming up on the next session of the church and stuff like that. And because it's not professionally maintained, they go in and poison all the links to point to their fake version that infects you.
Government agencies are also ones that often get hijacked, if you will. It's not the site does, but people will play with, someone will take over the extension URL. That is, it is not a .com. Maybe instead of going to federal government, and I'm just making this up, federalgovernment.gov. And if you type in federalgovernment.com, you may be taken to a nefarious site that you think is going to look and feel exactly the way the government site will, but it's not. It's not a legitimate site. So that's often a technique that people use. Is they'll buy.
Well, also too, as an example, and it's real. If you want to go to the White House, our government seat, you go whitehouse.gov. But if you put in whitehouse.com, you're going to get a surprise.
Yeah.
I know exactly what surprise that is. The other, another thing, another thing that happened, was for a long time, you had to be very careful about which Malwarebytes link in Google search results you clicked on. One of them was a .com, and I think the other was a .org. And one of them was a malicious program masquerading as Malwarebytes, and the other was Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes finally somehow got that knocked down, and they own both domains now.
So this article also discussed that you can report him to Google, and they walk you through and kind of briefly and how you do it. I don't know. You flag the site by following a Google Safe Browsing report. I don't know anyone that's ever done that. Has anyone ever done that?
Well, click on the link and you'll go right to a safe browsing report.
Oh, great. Now I'm going to be taken to something.
See? Oh, it tells you how to report it. So
Okay.
here's how you do it. That's the other make use of article that is linked. And so it gives you a process.
Set up. Okay. They walk you through this somewhere in this.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah. How to report
Where
it.
and how to report it.
There you go. Report a phishing.
Report it to Google Safe Browsing, which would be something you can just plug into Google and hope that you don't click on a phishing site that is similar to Google Safe Browsing.
Towards the bottom of that page in bold. How to report a scareware site.
Yeah. Scareware is an interesting little topic too.
This is one I've never heard before. Someone want to elaborate on this?
It's where let's say for example that you're a first generation immigrant, you have become an American citizen, or you may not be yet an American citizen, and it's a fake IRS site to scare the bejeebers out of you to provide money they say you owe.
Oh, kind of like the Social Security coming after you.
Yeah. Or, in a manner of speaking, it's in a figurative way related to ransomware.
What they're trying to do is create a sense of fear and urgency that you must respond. And then they tell you to do something that if you were thinking straight, you would never, ever do.
That's right. That's the big thing.
Because
so they do tell you here to use like who is the lookup to see is that a legitimate site here. And then you type in the domain name in the search bar and hit enter.
You make even one little typo, you could be at one of these kinds of sites.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Like whitehouse.com. Okay, that was a good subject.
They're all good subjects.
They're all great subjects. Okay, I have some more on there. Anyone pick out another thing? Terry, do you got something you want us to cover?
Well, I just gonna comment here. I'm on. I'm talking to a teacher about how they use Chromebooks to teach. And all the kids have a Chromebook on their desk. You know, the assignments come up on the Chromebook. They don't use a pencil. They put everything into the Chromebook, and the teachers can, tap into the Chromebook to the students. I guess the students got to take the Chromebooks home, use them at night, bring them back in the morning. I mean, absolutely amazing. The teacher plans are distributed right on the Chromebooks to the kids. Chromebooks. I was just absolutely amazed about grade school teaching these days. Just fascinating, what she had to say. Amazing. I mean, a lot of you guys probably know that, but, you know, when I went to school, 50 years ago, whatever, I mean, just, absolutely amazing.
Understand one thing. When it comes to Chromebooks, if you go into Best Buy or some other store like that and you buy a Chromebook, that Chromebook is very different from the ones that are used in any of the schools. And the schools have to be able to monitor the students' machines to know what they're doing versus what they're supposed to be doing.
You're right. That's what, you're right. They can tell who's paying attention and who's you know, doing something, you know, not schoolwork. Yeah.
These days, they would be the equivalent of playing hooky. They're
Yeah.
look like they're working on their computer while actually not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, they can turn in their assignments. We'll put it in their Chromebook, and then the teacher can upload them or whatever. I mean, I was absolutely fascinated by her whole discussion of teaching in grade schools right now. Just a real education for me. Yeah,
He's
you
got
know,
to
it's just amazing.
I've got it. I'm going to clue in here because I'm working with a grammar school, and they just got some Chromebooks, and most of the time when the kids get them, they are locked in via VPN to the school server. Their internet, they get their Google access, they get everything through and the school firewalls. They're just using the home connection to VPN direct in, and they don't have a chance of going around it. And a lot of the times their emails that they're given, their ID, even though it's maybe a Google email, it's really not a true email. They can send to the teacher, and they can't receive anything other than from the teacher or through the school. And they cannot log into anything else outside.
They're really
that
locked
email.
down.
Yeah. She mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, they've really locked down those laptops a lot. And they don't come with a lot of features either. They don't have a lot of RAM, they don't have a lot of storage. They're not, you know, outside of school, they don't have a lot of usage.
But I was gonna say, absolutely amazing. You know, to me anyway. You know, I mean,
So did school that you went to, did they ask you to buy them a bunch of Chromebooks?
well, no, actually, it was Naperville, grade school, and so obviously they have the money to be most advanced, but yeah, no, the kids, if they lose the Chromebook, they have to pay for a new one.
Yeah, I'll bet they do have to pay for a new one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I sort of have, you know, I sort of have the kid forgets to bring a Chromebook then for the day or whatever, and I forgot what the teacher's response was, but you know, I guess I could just, you know, take one and you know, and for the day and then give it back and bring their one from home or whatever. They didn't bring in or whatever, but
Okay.
yeah, but it's just yeah.
The biggest problems the schools have with
Gotta
the
make it a lot
Chromebook,
easier on the teachers. You know, they can just upload their lesson plans or whatever, and for the kids, and yeah, just
Okay, Pete was trying to add in something. Pete?
So one of the problems the schools have with the Chromebooks is that the kids are required to use headphones, and they break off the connector at the Chromebook. And that is a real pain in the butt to fix.
I'll bet it is. little
I
headphone jack?
fixed a couple for one school and I showed the tech person over there how to do it. You can't do it from outside. You got to take the back off and you
Yeah.
got to use pick probes to worry it through till you can grab it with a pair of hemostats.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's an aux jack, isn't it?
No, it's a 1/8.
018. Okay.
What I was working at was the 1/8 stereos.
Right. They're little small ones, but it still is
Yeah.
a headphone jack. It's just a single stick point that's coming. Okay.
Yeah, but getting the pin out of the jack from the inside.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what Pete's
Yeah.
talking about.
Okay.
Not quite, not any more difficult than what I did, removing a right protect screw and replacing the battery, but pretty delicate work,
Yes.
pretty precise. However, you can probably rescue the jack, so you don't have to replace anything that's soldered onto the board.
No, if you're really careful and you use the magnifying glass, you can get it out without killing the jack.
Yeah. And then you just tell the kids, okay, this is how much, you can tell the kids' parents, this is how much it cost us to fix this.
I'd let the school worry about that.
She was saying some of the students, they don't even take notes like paper and pencil. They just type their notes right in their Chromebook or whatever.
Well,
You know,
They don't use the cursory anymore. I mean, it's
Why would you?
it looks like a typewriter or whatever. The letters. I mean, it's just it's not the way we used to.
Just
Like
Terry
draw the letters or whatever. I mean, just
doesn't mean
it looks like an OCR or whatever. I mean, amazing.
Tim, you were trying to say?
I said, Terry, just because it's beyond you and your imagination and knowledge doesn't mean that's true for most people.
and then I have something to say about studies which have shown something about the learning process.
Yes, Bob.
If students are typing, they don't learn the material as well as if they write it out longhand.
Right. That's true.
And if they don't learn cursive writing, they don't seem to learn. It doesn't seem to give as good a learning process as if you can use cursive instead of block letters.
Well, some are trying to bring back scripting, but it's not universal.
Yeah, but at least have students take some notes longhand, because of the advantage that has been proven in the learning process. And when you copy over your notes, even if you're taking typed notes and you just write them out longhand, copying them over, that also reinforces the learning process.
Right. And all this gets back to mathematics. When you do it with paper and pencil, you learn the mathematics better and a lot easier in a sense than using a calculator, because the calculator you don't have to know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, etc. So automation or computerization can have its drawbacks in anything.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll just make them learn how to use slide rules
Well,
and protractors.
look at what we're doing with
I think I still have two.
Slide rules.
AI and what that could do to people's learning. They just ask questions and stuff like that to an AI chat and get all the information back and not know anything about what the heck the topic is.
Yeah.
I can remember the Dewey Decimal System and in high school, going back to the main library in Chicago every Saturday for a high school class. because the local libraries didn't have the books.
Well,
Yeah.
another topic, if you want to move forward a little bit.
Yeah, we got enough time for one more.
A couple more down is how to delete private browsing history and protect your privacy. So in some browsers, it's called private browsing. In some, it's called incognito. It's the
Yeah.
same principle. Both of them make it sound like they're very private. They aren't. And apparently, a lot of these programs that give you this private or incognito browsing capability may have a lot of stuff, information stored in a hidden location. How to get rid of it.
I'm not finding this article. How to delete your browsing, automatically
It's
delete old files.
It's 3 articles below the last one we just did.
Ah, there it is. I'm sorry. It, for whatever reason, it wasn't coming up on my, I wasn't able to see it. I guess I got to clean my eyeballs.
Oh, that or get glasses, one of the two.
Well, I'm out of those things. Okay, so we need to do this, share screen.
I was gonna say, I just, finishing up with what I was talking about, I guess these Chromebooks are really dumb terminals, and everything is stored on the school server, I guess.
That's correct.
Any
Yeah, so yeah,
Tabs
the
and
kid
clouds.
can't. Yeah, a kid at home can probably just log right into the school server or whatever from his house.
Terry, you can do that with regular computers also, and anytime you're using a cloud service like QuickBooks as an example, or some of the Microsoft products like Office, you're up in the cloud. You're on a server. All you're doing is using your computer as a terminal to the cloud for that service and record all your stuff up there. No
Right.
deal.
And so that's a true dumb terminal. That, you know, they don't store stuff there. You know,
They're not dumb terminals. They are smart terminals because they do house have some operating system and some parts in there. But they're not a dumb terminal. They're not those are more like a Unix or a Linux based system where they're just feeding data back and forth. But because it's working with a graphical interface, it does have some of the stuff is kept locally and it's refreshed, and the operating system knows how to process it locally. But it's still, everything is being fed to it across the network. Does someone want to clarify that a little better?
Actually, the data are not stored locally by default. They're stored up in your Google Drive.
Right. I didn't mean the data. I was talking about
The programs operate locally to
program
some extent.
operates that is the browser program.
Actually, it's only the browser that's operating locally. The app is in the cloud.
Okay.
Right. Everything's up in the cloud except for your browser and your machine's OS, whatever it is, whether it's Chrome OS, Windows, Mac OS, Linux of any version.
Mhm.
That's all you've got. You have your local storage, your local OS, and your browser, and everything else is up in the cloud wherever it's located on the planet.
I'll point out that if you pay attention when you go to your next doctor's visit and look at the computer that they are using, in many instances, they are using a very small footprint computer. And everything is being loaded in from their network so that when they turn off that machine or stop using it, everything is erased. And that's for them to ensure there's no HIPAA violations, as well as data security, which is really paramount.
And this is a similar machine that's usually mounted on the back of a monitor,
right?
Or kept separate. It varies business to business.
Business to business and what their budget is at the time when they implemented the equipment. But that is precisely what's happening in the medical industry. It's they're just small little PCs or specific computers, has a little bit going on there, and everything is done across the network.
Some of them have a lot more going on than you might consider, because when I go to see the retinal specialist, he's got 3 monitors hooked to that thing.
Yes, and you can go.
Large monitors, so that he can bring up the files.
It's easy.
You
Okay.
there?
We've kind of run out of our time for the evening. Has anyone got any last questions or comments? Anything else? If not, I will conclude the meeting and say thanks everyone for attending tonight's Tips and Tricks SIG. And hope to see you all next month.
I will say
Very
aloha
good.
from the far, far, far west.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Maybe you'll warm up sometime soon out there. Huh?
It's showing about 70 degrees out here now, and it's only 4:30.
It's
Or no, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock.